I've been wanting to ask you this for a while, and I didn't even write this down on my question list, but I remember years ago I read a blog post by Jim McDonald on calamus, and he specifically referenced, I want to say it was a video class that you had online somewhere.
Oh, really?
And he, I want to say he told some story about how you helped this child use calamus, and then he started, I don't want to give away the punchline, but something about his parents. So you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Do you mind telling that story?
Oh,
because Jim McDonald is very infatuated with the plant calamus, and
good for him.
you know, I really enjoy it now because of him, and I'm getting goosebumps. I love that story. So if you want to share with us.
Oh yeah, it's a really emotional story. There are actually several cases of this. So because I work in the area of neurology, I'm involved with all kinds of neurological issues, and I've been working with autism for 30 years. So this boy had autism, and he was nonverbal. He could make some sounds, and he could make his needs known by gestures and things like that. So he was 16. I was treating him, and we've been working for about 6 months or so, kind of laying some groundwork and working on some of the things that autism is about. And then it was time to use the calamus. So I had him take a dose, and then his parents were telling me that this incident happened about 3 or 4 days after he started taking the calamus. So he liked to watch TV with his nose right up against the TV, and he was watching his favorite TV show, which was SpongeBob SquarePants. And his parents were sitting together on the couch a ways back in the living room, just relaxing and enjoying it. And a commercial came on, and he turned around and looked right into the eyes of his parents and said, "Mom and Dad, I love you." That was the first sentence he'd ever said. It was a full sentence. He made perfect eye contact and expressed, his personal feeling. And within, a week after that, he came I was treating him. I actually had an office in that situation, and he came into the office, and he just would not shut up. I mean, you can imagine having all that bottled up in you for 16 years.
Sure.
And amazing how his brain knew how to tell his mouth how to say those things, with no practice. But he just was a font of talking, which of course just was great. Everybody just thought it was fantastic, and he progressed quickly, after that.
Were you the one that said it connects the heart to the mouth?
Yeah, well, usually we say the mind to the mouth, but that's exactly it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. One of my colleagues, an Indian doctor, the other day said, that stuff, that would make a donkey talk. And that's really, the name in Sanskrit for calamus is vacha, which means speech. And so it's very much associated with the brain connecting with the ability to communicate. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually started chewing on the root specifically. I know Jim McDonald likes to chew on the root, and B, for that specific reason, I was really struggling with, like, say, public speaking and stuff like that. So maybe I'll credit Calamus for getting the Herbalist Hour going. So,
well, 2 more things to tell you about
please,
calamus.
yeah.
So I teach at naturopathic medical schools, and I teach herb programs to naturopathic or future naturopathic doctors. And in that program, it's very intense, and they have hours and hours a week of homework, and they're staying up till 1 or 2 in the morning cramming for tests. And they would complain to me, that last page I'm trying to study, I'll read it and then I can't remember anything that I've read, and I'll read it again and still can't remember it. And so I suggest using calamus, and then they come back in a week or 2 later and say, oh my God, I can remember everything that I read. I don't have to study nearly as long at night. And then they tell their friends who tell their friends, and by the end of the year, the entire school is, taking the calamus. So it's well known in the naturopathic world from my suggesting it to students for their, for their memory. So it enhances our ability to just to process thought and make it into memory, and then to extract memories, when you need them. The other thing to know about calamus, though, is that it's very nauseating. Did I say it was nauseating? Yes. You really have to be very aware of this, because people kind of think, he's just being conservative. But really, if each of us sitting here took, let's say, 4 grams of calamus on an empty stomach, we'd be puking all over the place. So I would recommend divided doses with food generally, and I usually start with about 1/4 gram, 250 milligrams, and increase in 1/4 gram increments. So, every couple days you bump it up a little bit. So by the end of, a couple weeks, you're taking maybe about 4 grams. That's a pretty typical dose. Most people can't push much beyond that. Now, if you use it in tincture form, which is very common in Western herbalism, it then, of course, goes right into your mouth, into your bloodstream, and that's more likely to make you nauseated because the constituents are just, ready to go.
So there's the nausea, but then there's other safety concerns as well. So I feel like I would have to do my due diligence to bring up the safety concerns around calamus. I don't remember the exact study that Jim McDonald talks about, but he was basically talking about extracting one constituent in calamus and then giving high doses to rats, and then that was fatal essentially, which obviously isn't going to be comparable to a large human chewing on a little bit of the root.
Right,
so
exactly.
Do you have any safety concerns, say, besides the nausea?
Well, the constituent you're talking about is beta-acerone, and we know that that is a precancerous chemical, and so we don't want people consuming a lot of that. The question is, what dose would be tolerable? How would it work? Does it cause this problem in people? And yeah, you're right. The studies that looked at that were a long time ago, and were exactly what you said, injecting it into the rat, and the rat's got cancer. So in the law in the United States, or FDA regulations, if any substance causes cancer in any other living thing, it can't be used for human consumption. So calamus can't be used. It used to be an ingredient in some alcoholic beverages, for example. FDA disallowed that, can't be used as food. It's still allowed to be sold as a dietary supplement, but the issue with calamus is that it's a very strange plant that reproduces in a very weird way, and so the constituents are quite different in different places that it grows. So Europe, India, China, it's used in all those systems, and any given subspecies might have more of that beta-acerone than others. We don't really know if that carcinogenic chemical is actually also the active ingredient. We just don't know that. But that's the concern. So I'm less inclined to use calamus with the general public because, of course, now they Googleize everything and they're going to know about that instantly and then have concerns about that. But for people who feel like they're okay with it, it's just fantastic herb for all the reasons we just talked about.
So when you say you like an herb, a lot of times are you referring to like you like to use it, say, on clients, or are you like with calamus, do you consume it sometimes, or?
Well, I don't really have a need to, to use it, although I wouldn't have any objection to it. Calamus is usually used short term. So you take it for maybe, 3 to 6 months, something like that. So I wouldn't take it as a maintenance herb anyway, but no, I do not take it. But yeah, when I say I like an herb, I mean therapeutically for people. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Hey everyone, this is Mason with HerbRally. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and also go ahead and subscribe. We come out with new herbal content each and every week. If you didn't know, HerbRally also lists Herbalism events. We list Herbalism events chronologically. We list them also by state. So you could just go ahead and search by Oregon or Wisconsin or wherever you live. You can find out what Herbalism events are happening in your neck of the woods. We also list Herbalism events, virtual herbal events. So if you can't make it to an in-person conference or plant walk, we list lots of virtual events as well. To find out more, you could go to herbrally.com/events or herbrally.com/virtual. But if you can help it, I would highly recommend trying to go to an Herbalism conference. Those are some of the best learning experiences I've ever had, and that's where you can find different herbal teachers, and then maybe you could perhaps take their apprenticeship. But yeah, just do what you can. Get out there and learn about the herbs, like yarrow, dandelion, corn, all the above, like all the medicinal herbs. And we'll see you out there. Hope to see you at an herb conference. All right, bye.